Plays from the Watson Chapel game, and these are going to be big plays for both teams. And I know early on you got some good defensive action there, but most of the early highlights do belong to Watson Chapel.
Right, that first play was Sloan Spites on that big number 28, Ron Johnson. We thought that was a turnover, and we look at it in slow-mo. He did put the ball on the ground, but the official didn't see it that way. Here's the first bad snap and put Scott Jones in a tough situation. He did a tremendous job here getting out of that fix. And then we got a spear or late hit, which we deserved right there. Kids taking out a little frustration. Here goes to Ron Johnson again, and Richard loses a little leverage on the outside. And this kid cut back a lot better than we gave him credit watching him on film. We knew he had 4.5 speed and was very strong, but we didn't know he had the cutback ability like some backs do. Very good back for his size. Their defensive front was just overwhelming to us, I think. We had a tough time keeping them out of the backfield. When we get penetration, we're not going to do too well. That's a midline veer, and it read give to our fullback, Stephen Reed. You can see they got some speed in the secondary.
Because Stephen has very good speed himself.
Yeah, we were kind of shocked. There's another snap over the head. Scott does a great job eluding these two right here. And, of course, you're wanting him to punt it here, but, you know, that's a lot of pressure. There's no telling what's going through his mind there. We hate to put the defense in that situation, but we did. There's their second score.
Now, when the special teams settle down in terms of snaps and that sort of thing, do you feel like you're going to get good production there? I noticed that Scott was also doing the kickoffs the other night.
Right. You know, that hadn't happened to us since I've been here, so to happen twice, it was just a fluke. I mean, the kids are fine with it, and, you know, nobody makes those mistakes on purpose. It's just something that happens. Like I said, we put our defense in a bind all night, and here Kerry gets hit from behind before he can pitch the ball, and we lose another turnover. Our defense held these guys to 200 yards, and we didn't know if they could drive the length of the field. We never will know, like I told you earlier, because we gave them the ball in such good territory for them. I put Matt Turner in, the young sophomore quarterback, and he had the same problems with those defensive linemen penetrating and hitting us in the mesh. You know, our quarterbacks can't operate. It's a good job by Richard Bright there, and followed up by Derek Marlowe, the nose guard. Here comes free safety Scott Jones. I believe you'll see him get a big hit here in a minute. I believe right here. He'll come in late if you watch how the bottom of your screen, boom, right there. Good gang tackling. Our defense, I was really proud of them. They played well enough to win on the defensive side of the football. This is a play we completed all night, but we kept getting penalties and couldn't make it up. But we completed that about 6 times. Here's a midline veer getting down early in the third quarter, I believe. We're reading the 2 technique, and Kerry keeps the ball and gets some good yardage there.
The offense at times really did put it together.
When we did what we were supposed to do, and you know, that's what we're trying to communicate with the kids, that, you know, we're going to be overmatched most of the time with the players we have up front, and we've got to be almost perfect. And when we do that, I think they know we can move the football. We've got to eliminate penalties and turnovers, just like everybody else. There's great defense. There's Sloan Spites. We get a fumble. And right here it's 27-7, and we got the ball in great field position early in the third quarter, and we're feeling pretty good right here until another turnover right here. We should catch that pitch. I had the ball on the 10-yard line, and there's no question we would have got the ball in the end zone. We feel like we're very good down there in what we call the red zone. Good pursuit there. Jeff Ussery, there's Scott Jones, Richard Bright, really doing a great job running the football.
Ron Johnson, we saw him make a couple of touchdowns there. Is he going to be one of the best backs in the state next year?
I think so. He'll be one of the best backs in the state this year and next year because he's just a junior.
Right.
And I tell you, we saw him in pregame out there with his shirt sleeves cut off, and he's a man. He's a big kid.
Now, Watson, well, let's take a break and talk to one of the players that really did play very well against Watson Chapel, and, of course, had a good game against Benton also. Jeff Williams is going to visit with Richard Bright, the senior defensive end.
Richard, a tough loss last week to Watson Chapel. Defense played pretty well, played well in both games so far this season. Tell us a little bit about how the defense has been playing.
Well,
We held Watson Chapel to 200 yards, and we thought that was pretty good, but still we let them score when they got down there. And no matter whose fault that is or not, it shouldn't have happened, and we've got a good enough defense where we can shut out any team we play, I think. And Richard, of course, you've had two pretty outstanding games, a few sacks in both games, and I think you covered a fumble in one. Tell me a little bit about how you felt you've played this season. Well, the thing about the sacks is I kind of don't like quarterbacks, and it just gives me an extra thing to go out and get them, I guess. And I really can't put it all on me because it's 11 people out there, and I'm just one of them in there. So, and as a whole defensive, we played pretty good, I think. And this week, a tough Camden Fairview offense, one that put up a lot of points against Malvern, only put up 7 against Magnolia. What does the defense have to do this week to stop the Camden Fairview offense? Well, they're not as good. They don't have the type of players as they did last year, the quarterback and all that. They're not as athletic, so I think it ought to be a pretty good game, and we ought to shut them down. We got the ability to. All we got to do is just go out there and do it. And hopefully offense can do their job and go from there. And, of course, last year's Camden Fairview game, of course, because you were a starter at defensive end last year also. Tell me a little bit about what you like to do when you're away from the football field, away from school. Well, we watch a lot of films, and me and our defensive buddies, D-line, we call each other the D-boner line, and we just go do stuff here and there, go catch a movie stuff, watch some game films, just have fun. So we talk a lot about the family togetherness of the Badgers. So even further than that, it's a little bit of the positions. The linemen get together and are a little bit more of a family. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, what are your plans for after high school? Of course, you're a senior this year. What are your plans for after football season and after high school? Well, I guess college. Who knows? Any plans as to where you want to go to college, or if you're going to play football in college? I'll see how this year goes. If if I can get a scholarship, and good for me, I guess. And Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Richard, and good luck on Friday. Thank you.
Coach, we've talked for a couple of weeks now about how strong the... Let's take a look at this practice game, and we'll see some highlights where your team performed well, and then some highlights also for Fairview.
Counter lead, pretty basic play out of the wishbone when they counter the fullback. There's a good effort by our defensive line there, Big John. There's a sweep, and we're stringing it out well. Kids are doing a lot better job defensively, keeping their pads parallel to the line of scrimmage. Another sweep. Great hit there by the cornerback, Ed Hearn, number 2. I hope that'll be on our highlight reel. Very good field goal kicker there. We watched him in pregame. He's got a lot of leg. I believe this is our second possession here. Very fast first quarter. I know y'all know that. That was a loop scheme on the inside veer that read disengage. We're doing a better job covering the football up. That's a midline veer. It read give to the fullback, and he popped through there. And Larone's got very good speed, and we didn't think they could run him down. This is a spot pass, Jared Harris. And Jared's a senior, and we were real happy for him. That's his first catch. He gets another catch later in the ball game. That's a back out of the backfield when they double inverted. We audible to that twice, and I think if Carried a laid up or a little bit farther, we might have gone the distance on it. But this was a good drive. This was an 80-yard, 13-play drive against a defense that shut out Magnolia. This is the second series, and we fumbled on the 15, and that really hurt us. We felt like we'd have got some points there. Long pass by Fairview. John Butler goes up and catches it at its highest point, just like he's coached to do. Good return, but he stepped out of bounds. I think we just took a knee right there for half. We felt good with 6-3. Option play, good pursuit, gang tackling.
That's a lot of Badgers around the football.
Yeah, and when you watch our wide-angle film, it's really enjoyable compared to last year because you see a lot of that. They broke the counter tray on us there, and we had a little breakdown in coverage, and we're still okay. I believe it's 10-6 at this point. Well, they had a good wide receiver, about 6'4", 185 pounds. He went up and caught one about 11, 12 feet up in the air. This was a go route, and the quarterback just made a poor decision, threw it on the hash, that out of bounds. We got ourselves backed up there because of a penalty and put our defense in a bind again. It's tough to stop people when you put them back there. Here's the audible again of the hot route to the right halfback. You know, again, they just had the safeties up too close to the line of scrimmage. Good lick right there by Richard Bright. And I think Scott Jones, number 12, finishing it off there.
Well, again, we see some real strong defensive play, and I guess you would want to stress that guys like Scott Jones that moved over from offense last year really performing very well.
Right, and you know, you say you win with defense. We've always in the past, our coach won with, I think they did.
We were shooting from the visitor side, and let's look at some of the highlights. And one of the first things that we don't see on the tape, because we're on the same side as the fans, it was a big crowd there for the Badgers.
I think there was a good crowd, and I really appreciate that with the pre-conference schedule, 0-3, and the fans hanging in there with us. I believe it's the second play of the game on the midline veer, and Kerry reads the option there and keeps the ball. You can see the excitement there with the kids, and we march it down there and throw a little counter dive pass on 3rd and short, and then tight end tips it up in the air, and their cornerback intercepts it. Defensively here, you know, they have a big offensive line. First play of the game, they just try a quarterback sneak, probably just see what kind of front we're going to be in. That's kind of a safe play. They ran a lot of unbalanced line like we talked about last week. There's a counter tray stopped by Matt Reithmeyer, number 85. You can see the size of their lineman there. There's midline veer with a load block, and Kerry gets downfield and shows the ball, and he hits his thigh pad with the ball and loses it here. And it's something we work on all the time. We've still got to correct those mistakes. So they get the ball in good field position. Drop back, and John Butler playing cover 2 right there. He squeezes it off and gets an interception. You can see the kids are very excited, play with lots of emotion.
That was a very important turnover, I thought. Even though it was early in the ball game, it came on the Arkadelphia side of the field.
Right. We had some breaks finally, and we were very happy with that. A little hot route like you saw us run against Camden there to Stephen Reed, and you can see how fast their secondary is. They fetched him pretty quick. He did get in the end zone there. We didn't get the call. I believe next play we run a quarterback sneak, and that started the second quarter right there. His hope with the football on toss sweep, he fumbles the ball and picks up, and this kind of stuff would drive you crazy. You know, when they got a bounce there and still made about 8 or 9 yards. Defense pursuing the football very well. Here's Richard Bright just stripping the ball from their quarterback here, and we get in on it. Again, watch the kids. They're very excited, play with lots of emotion, and we feel like we have to every week. Midline veer again, great blocking up front by the lineman. We did not get penetration. Our quarterback was able to do his footwork and his reads. That helped tremendously. There's our slot motion with the midline, the load, and it reads pull and pitch. Chris Gray taking it upfield for a good gain there. Here's a pass on the goal line we worked on all week. Kerry just overthrows a little bit there to Darren Suter. We'll get better at that. And we tried a field goal here on 4th down, and we were on about the 3-yard line. Eric just pulled it to the right a little bit.
Eric did come back and hit both the extra points, though.
Yes, he did, and that's very important for his confidence and for us as coaches to gain confidence in him. A little speed option there, and Smokey didn't cover the ball up. And we do that drill first every day. It's the first thing we do is cover the ball drill. Here we're on defense again, knocked the ball loose. This is the next play, by the way. We turned it over, then they gave it right back to us. And like I said, we got some breaks, and it's about time.
the defense not only held Hope to really very few yards, but just created turnover after turnover.
Right. We had 6 turnovers. There's another one, Kente Gray, the linebacker, intercepting a screen pass there. We put their quarterback out, and they put number 8 in. We had 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Here's a little hot route again to Stephen Reed, and we had a penalty before this and trying to make it up here, and went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, another pass. And this is not good right here. We let them out there too easy when we have them pinned up there in their own end zone. Something we've got to get better at. They came out offensively very determined the second half. I know they established a drive there. It's pretty scary, you know, the momentum change. There's John Butler again. That youngster's got 4 or 5 interceptions already this year. He's playing very well. Here we are on the go route to Jared Harris, his 2nd catch of the night. You can't see it there, but that was a big gain. You know, it's hard to defense us when you bring in the secondary people to stop the run.
We talked about the development of Suter and Robinson as receivers, and now I guess Jared Harris joins that list.
Right. Jared's confidence is soaring right now. He's had 4 catches the last couple ball games. He's been a good go-to guy, and he's got very good speed, very good speed.
So a lot of Arkadelphia highlights this week as the team comes up with a big win. Did you have the feeling before the game started that this was going to be the week that the team got it turned around?
I really felt like we would, Jeff. I just
Scored very quickly.
Right, we've been wanting to do that all year, come out and establish ourselves the first drive, first series, and we did. We moved the ball. We felt like the whole game we moved the ball at will, ran the midline veer there and picked up a good gain and got a little extra shove there out of bounds. But they weren't very big up front. They were very quick defense. We had a good scheme. We read the veer there, and Stephen Reed at Red Give, and he hammered it on in. Their offensive line did a great job up front, not allowing penetration. Defensively, I think we held them to like 90 yards except for the 2 big plays which they got late in the ball game. Of course, those count.
That seems to be characteristic of the Ashdown approach. They go for 0 twice in a row and then all of a sudden go for 72.
Right. They have great speed, and we talked about that last week. That was a good lick there by Sloan Spites. Next play, the whole defense gets in on this one, pursuing the football very well. There's a motion out of the slot. Same play we saw earlier. It reads pull and pitch, and we went into the game wanting to pitch the football more, and the way they played us, they made us pitch it. So that was a phase of the game we wanted to work on, and we did get to do it a lot.
Early in the season, Lerone Tatum had a problem with some pitches, but he really solved that problem against Ashdown.
Right. He stepped it up. He's doing a lot better. Jeremy Ross there, 54, great play. Here he is again on a stunt. Kids just playing their proper technique and playing their gap control and getting where they're supposed to be. And when they do that, they're pretty good. And they, like we said earlier, they have great speed in the backfield, and that scares you a little bit. Again, good pursuit there. Here we come with the motion again out of slot, and we run the seam pass that we've seen several weeks in a row now, and Lerone Tatum there catching the football for a good gain. That was a long drive. That was a 25-play drive there. Again, good job. Jeremy Ross again, number 54. And they're the kind of the team that scares you, like you said. You know, they can break a long one just like this little quarterback has a lot better speed than we thought he did. Watch him on film. And Ed Hearn can't catch him. Here comes John Butler, Jeremy Ross. Good effort by our kids. You know, they don't stop, and they pursue the football, and I'm proud of them for that. Here's a speed option on 3rd and long to Stephen Reed. Good block out there by our tight end, Darren Suter. Got a face mask there. This in the second half. Another midline veer, a load there by Grant Smith. We don't cover the ball and lose it down here, and should have had a score, obviously. And this part of the game, it's getting pretty scary, Jeff. It's too close. There's a reverse. That's what they scored on later in the ball game, and we recovered a fumble there. Big John, number 77. Here we are on the inside veer again, pitch to Grant Smith, a little sophomore. I told you came off a hip injury, and he really sparked us on offense. He can make you miss a little bit. He's got good hands, and that's our center tackling him there.
Tell us about his development now. I know he's been injured, but this was his first varsity game, I believe.
Right, and you know, he started the second half. We kept him in there the whole time. There's that little wing-back reverse, and that's that North Cross kid I told you that plays what we call a rover on defense that went on offense, and he did that the week before also. But like I said, Grant's going to be a good player for us. That's a huge play. To me, that was the play of the game right there. It's 3rd and 13, and we were behind 13-12, and Darren Suter made the big catch there. And we were on the triple option again. Grant Smith again. He just did a great job for us. We're really tickled he's back with us. You know, he's been out all year. Counter dive to Lerone Tatum. And we got a lot of yardage out of the counter dive. Of course, our linemen are knocking people off the ball, and we felt like we could run right at them. If you notice, second half, I was probably a lot more conservative in my play selection. Same play we scored on early. Missed a couple of blocks out there on the wide out and the right halfback, but Grant again makes a miss. And here we're going to do Old Faithful on the goal line. It's the shortest route to the end zone. It's hard to mess that up. Like I told them, unless Arkansas is at SMU. There's our counter option. Their back went the wrong way, and